think one of the most uncomfortable parts of getting older is realizing how easy it is to slowly become somebody that you never really planned on being. Not like it happens through one huge life event, but rather through smaller compromises along the way. You get older and life gets heavier. Expectations start to build up, and without really noticing it, you become a more careful, more filtered, and more focused version of yourself. You became a version of yourself that's functioning more than it's feeling like yourself. I think that's why Silent Hill F is so interesting to me, because I just finished my first playthrough and it's stuck with me. And that idea is why Silent Hill F interests me so much. Not just because it looks creepy or has a strong visual design, because it definitely does, but more so because it seems to be tapping into something a lot more human, which Silent Hill is known to do very well. Underneath all the horror, it feels like a story about pressure and identity, and the fear of being shaped by the world around you, and not by yourself.
Your father's just worried. I'm gonna go see my friends. Come home soon!
Ever since I finished the game, this is what's been sticking with me and in my head, and that's what I want to talk to you about here today. Not really like a lore breakdown, but more so why Silent Hill F works so well as a reflection of something that I think a lot of people can relate to. The feeling that growing up can sometimes feel less like discovering yourself and more like drifting away from who you once were. Now, most people know what it feels like to be shaped by pressure, whether it's from family or from work, from financials or other people's expectations. At some point, a lot of that stops feeling motivating and it starts feeling like maintenance once you get older. Like you're just trying to keep up with the version of yourself that life seems to demand whenever it needs it. And over time, I think that demand kind of changes you. You start choosing what makes sense over what feels honest. You stop saying certain things. You hide certain interests that you might have and overall just get careful, more practical, and more acceptable to society or those around you. And that's a normal part of life to some degree, I guess, but I think the uncomfortable part is how gradual it is. It's not like you just wake up one day and you're like, I just want to be a completely different version of myself today. It happens in smaller steps that you don't even notice, and each one kind of seems easy to justify. But before you know it, everything's changed. And I think that's why Silent Hill F kind of lands so well thematically, because it's based on something so real. Silent Hill F just gives an artistic direction into portraying that feeling. Now, I think what makes this game so perfect for portraying this message and this theme is how it presents its horror through beauty. Because a lot of horror games go straight for like decay and filth, just like darkness and pure shock factor, you know? I mean, this game obviously has disturbing imagery too, but the visual identity feels more elegant and more deliberate than just trying to go for straight shock factor. It's almost unsettling in a way that feels graceful, and that choice matters a lot. A lot of things in life that change us in unhealthy ways, they don't look bad at first. They often look reasonable or mature. Sometimes they might even look like progress in a way. And I think that's why the imagery works so well here. The flowers and the atmosphere, the whole vibe of the game, it isn't just pretty for the sake of contrast. It feels invasive, like something beautiful has started taking over. And I think that's a strong parallel to real life, because a lot of pressure comes packaged in ways that seem harmless or even positive. It doesn't sound more dangerous to be more polished or easier to understand or more presentable. But if you spend enough time shaping yourself around what's useful and acceptable, it can leave you feeling disconnected from whatever felt natural in the first place. And that's kind of what I think the game is getting at. It's not just trying to show you something grotesque, but it's showing you how easy it is for something so beautiful or respectful to still be suffocating. I think one of the main reasons why this whole idea hits so hard is because growing up really does feel like losing certain parts of yourself. And while that's not always a bad thing, and obviously you have to grow and some parts of you are meant to change, while that's all true, I think a lot of people lose things that they didn't mean to lose along the way. Like, think about your curiosity or your openness, your sense of play, the willingness to be weird or to care openly about things that you care about because you care about them. As you get older, you start filtering yourself more. Not always because you want to, but because it feels like the safer option. Life rewards control and stability, and fitting into systems, not necessarily standing out. After a while, it kind of becomes harder to tell whether you've grown or you've just become better at suppressing different parts of yourself. That's what makes this game feel so relatable in a lot of ways, even not really resonating with the character on a physical level. It's built around the idea that the environment around you can shape who you become, and not in a healthy way whatsoever. And I think that's something that everybody can understand. A lot of us have had periods in our lives where we don't feel like ourselves, where we felt more like a version that we had to maintain because it worked better in that moment. Whether it was keeping things peaceful or people happy, it wasn't us at the end of the day. And I think the fear at the center of this game is tied to the cost in those things. At a certain point, a lot of adult life starts to feel performative. And this is so relatable as I start to head into my mid-20s, and I'm starting my career just out of college and getting my degree and going out into the real world, as they say. But at a certain point, a lot of adult life starts to feel performative. Work is performative. Social media is obviously performative. And even trying to come across as authentic can become its own kind of performance. It has to be. And in this process, you become very aware of how you're being perceived. What version of yourself is working the best, or what version feels easiest for other people to deal with? What version of yourself is getting rewarded? So naturally, yeah, you're gonna adapt as you become an adult. That part makes total sense. Everybody does it. The problem is when the adaptation goes on so long that it stops being temporary. It's no longer performative, it's more so just your default setting. You're constantly performing. Because at that point, it's kind of weird. You're not necessarily being fake, but you also don't feel fully present within your own life. You're functioning, but maybe not honestly. But maybe it is. You're moving forward, but just not really as your original self. And I think that's what Silenthill F kind of taps into really well. It makes your identity feel very unstable, and it makes the pressure of a person feel physical. It turns that internal feeling of being reshaped into something visual and disturbing. And so even if you don't know anything about the series, you know that that's kind of true. I think it's funny too, because most horror stories are usually built around the fear of death. But what makes this one interesting is that it feels more focused on the fear of becoming. Because becoming isn't just like one event to be scared of, looking forward to. Change isn't just like one big event. I mean, they don't tell you one day that you're just going to wake up and be a completely different version of yourself. Yeah, they say you're going to be an adult or you're going to be a teenager, but those are all long periods of your life. And I guess they just don't tell you that it all feels abrupt when you finally start to notice it. It's this ongoing thing that happens in the background while you're just living your life. You're always becoming something. You're always changing. The question is whether that something that you're becoming still feels connected to who you once were. And I think that's what makes this all so uncomfortably human. A lot of people aren't just afraid of failure or pain. They're afraid that over time life will make them colder and more numb, myself included. They're afraid that life will make them feel less like themselves. Not because they chose it directly, but because constant pressure slowly pushed them there. It's such a grounded fear, and honestly, and probably way more introspective than even death itself. To me, Silenthill F feels like it's about what happens when the environment around you starts shaping you more than you shape yourself. That's the core of it. It's not just about trauma or fear. It's not even about the disturbing visuals, although they can be kind of disturbing sometimes. It's about the pressure, whether it be social, personal, internal, the feeling of being molded by an environment that does not really care whether the results feel good or true to you. And I think that's what makes the horror aspect here way more lasting. Because you're not going to remember the jump scares, but that idea is going to stick with you in the back of your head. It's been sticking with me. It makes you think about how much of your life is actually yours now. How much of who you are today actually feels like a decision of your own. And maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe this is all just coming out from internal trauma that I have, but makes you wonder how much of your personality was chosen for you and not by you. It's a pretty uncomfortable question, but also a pretty good one. What it seems to understand is that one of the most unsettling parts of life is how quietly it can change, how quietly you can change. It's not always through tragedy or through pain or anything extreme, but it's sometimes just through routine, pressure, and expectations. The slow habit of becoming somebody more manageable. And I think that's why this kind of story connects. Because even if you're playing a Silent Hill game, the fear underneath it is familiar. Fear of drifting from yourself or becoming more functional but less real. This, to me, is the whole aspect that makes Silenthill F so compelling, and Silent Hill in general so compelling. It's not just that it looks to scare you, but seeks out to say some really deep things and to ask you some really deep questions about yourself that you might not even be ready to answer. Now, with that all being said, I'm looking forward to see what the new Silent Hill is going to do. I know they just released a new trailer recently, but that's supposed to be coming out this year. I'm definitely going to be playing it. This one was an absolute blast to play, and every time I pick up one of these games, I can't seem to put it down for like a large amount of time. I think I finished this game in like 4 different actual times sitting with it, which might sound like straight degenerate stuff, but it was so fun. Absolutely fun just to experience this game. Every time I step into a Silent Hill game, it is a blast. But with that all being said, if you guys did watch until the end, I want to thank you so much for checking out this video. It truly means the world to me that you would even take the time out of your day to sit and watch something like this. And especially if you're here towards the end, like leave a comment down below, leave a banana if you watched all the way to the end. Like I want to see who actually did that. That would be so cool. Because I couldn't imagine somebody even clicking on my videos, let alone watching this whole entire thing. So again, thank you so much. If you guys have any recommendations on great games to play, like I'm always looking for something. Whatever genre it is, I'm open to your recommendations and I want to hear from you guys. Also, just let me know if you played Silent Hill F yet and what you think of it. I don't think it's a perfect game by any means. I think it's very flawed and I could make literally a whole video talking about what I don't like in this game. But I do think the narrative was a very strong piece of it and its themes were very well done. But with all that being said, got a lot more content coming, so stay subscribed and I'll see you guys in the next one.